Hammill. Dana has been in the medical community for over 15 years and is ready to bring the latest and greatest in the medical community. Each week, Dana will interview different doctors in different fields and will offer you, the public, to call in and ask questions that you need answers to. Call into the show, 888-565-1470, and feel free to ask the doctors any questions that you may have. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv or the wwnnradio.com website. Now, it's time to get informed. Here's Dana Hammill.
Is it good?
Good evening. My name is Dana Hammill, and you are listening to Stayin' Alive, a talk show designed to bring you the latest with what's happening in medicine. If you would like to call in tonight, we would love to hear from you. You can reach us at 888-565-1470. And you can also watch our show at amp2TV or log into wwnnradio.com. Tonight, we have a great show planned for you. We have plastic and reconstructive surgeon, Dr. Matthew Goodwin, who will be joining us to tell us all about what's happening in the world of plastic surgery. According to a recent poll, 1 in 5 women are either considering plastic surgery or are actively planning it. So I'm sure those statistics in South Florida are even higher. This is a show you are not going to want to miss. Dr. Goodwin has an office in Boca Raton as well as West Palm Beach. He's with Tenet Florida Physician Services, and he's also on staff at Boca Regional Hospital, Delray Medical Center, Good Samaritan Medical Center, and West Boca Medical Center. He's an award-winning plastic surgeon who comes with some very impressive credentials. He did his undergrad at Princeton University. He attended Yale Medical School and is fluent in both Spanish and English. He's also received the Most Compassionate Doctor of the Year award, as well as 6 Patient Choice Awards. Dr. Goodwin, welcome to the show. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. Thank you.
Can you share with us why you decided to major in plastic surgery?
It was a rotation that I was assigned in medical school, and I didn't know much about it. I basically thought it was cosmetic stuff before that, and but when I saw the wide range of problems that people are treated with in plastic surgery, craniofacial reconstruction, burn surgery, hand surgery, cosmetic surgery, and breast cancer reconstruction, I was immediately drawn to the amazing deformities that are improved upon plastic surgery. I really liked how I could see healing harness the strength of the body to heal, and it was it affected me emotionally, and I wanted to become an expert in that field.
And so after seeing some of those amazing results that could be achieved through plastic surgery, you decided to go into it as a profession.
Exactly.
We see a lot of plastic surgery in South Florida, some of it good and some of it very, very bad. What can a patient do to identify a better plastic surgeon? Are there tells?
You know, most plastic surgery that is elective, meaning not emergent, safety is paramount. You want to make sure your surgeon is vetted, meaning board certified and belongs to a national society, either the American Society of Plastic Surgery or American Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery.
Okay.
And you want to make sure they work at a safe, accredited facility, either hospital or accredited surgical center. And, you know, reputation is helpful. Word of mouth, referral from friends. And then when you have your appointments and your consultations with the surgeon, you want to make sure you're comfortable with them. You want to have your goals ready to explain to the surgeon and have them explain to you how they're going to meet your goals.
Are the pictures important? Because a lot of surgeons have pictures of before and after.
Pictures are definitely important, but understand that surgeons do show their best pictures. And but I think where they're really important is helpful for defining for you what your goals are. And if you see what that surgeon can achieve, then that'll make you more comfortable with that surgeon.
Do you think slightly younger surgeons like yourself have an advantage because you've been trained with some of the newer techniques?
You know, I think everybody needs to stay up on the newer techniques and have the experience of being an older surgeon as well. So I don't necessarily say that being younger is better. Obviously, I'm closer to my training and get some of the benefits from some of those newer techniques done at other academic centers. But every surgeon should stay up on the advancements that happen in the literature. And so I don't necessarily think that being younger is the benefit. I think just having the expertise and
staying up to
date is what's important.
To me, plastic surgery seems almost like an art because you are taking what you have in front of you and changing it. Do you kind of think of yourself as an artist?
You know, a lot of people think of plastic surgery as an art. I think of it more as engineering because it combines art and science, and that's what engineers do.
And I assume mathematics to get just the right amount.
Absolutely, there's measuring and there's trying to judgment of tissues and volumes, and so it does take an artist's eye, but I think saying it's just art leaves out the scientific component, and that's what engineers do. They take art and science and put it together.
Ah, perfect. When you see someone off hours, and I'm sorry I have to ask this, you're in a restaurant, you're not working. Do you ever think to yourself, ooh, a little nip there, a little tuck there, I could really improve that overall look?
I honestly, I try not to.
Okay.
I try not to. I find myself doing that when I have been to a meeting or I read a recent article and I want to see things from that perspective. I find myself doing it more and more.
Yeah.
I definitely do not point out to patients things because it gives people, anybody, it gives you a complex.
Right. Yeah, so if you didn't go in with that, you walk out with it. Yeah.
It's not uncommon for when I meet, friends of family and they find I'm a plastic surgeon, they'll be like, what do I need? I'm not going to tell you need anything because, anybody can have something.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you should have something that bothers you. And if you are healthy enough and you're in a social situation where you can get it done, then it's worth asking about it.
And all anyone secretly wants to hear is, you're beautiful just the way you are, right?
Always
that's what they're all really looking for.
Always safest answer. But no, they're not always looking for that. They are sometimes looking for the side by consult.
What is your favorite surgery to perform and why?
Breast reconstruction.
And why is that?
Well, it has a dramatic effect on the lives of patients, and it's a fun surgery to perform.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty good at it, and it's that at the end, the patients often have incredible gratitude, and so it's very fulfilling. And
is breast reconstruction only done after a mastectomy, or are there other reasons that breast reconstruction might have to get done?
It's typically discussed in that context, but there are times patients have congenital deformities, meaning they were born with something and they have a deformity from that, and breast reconstruction is done there. They could have trauma. They can have a large wound or hematoma, collection of blood or a cut on their breast. Some patients consider breast reduction for when they have neck and back pain, a form of breast reconstruction, but it's not so much a reconstruction, it's just it's a treatment. It's a reduction. But it's a treatment that has a cosmetic component and a symptom, a functional component as well.
We're in Boca, so I have to ask, there's a lot of parents, I mean a lot, there are some parents that for the Sweet 16 offer their teenage daughter the option of getting implants for their Sweet 16 birthday. How do you feel about plastic surgery for teens?
It's usually on a case-by-case basis. I definitely want to take a close look at the motivations for wanting to have these breast surgeries. If the patient has a real problem and it's causing them distress when they're younger, we will consider it. I can tell you that it has not been, I have done several breast reductions on patients that were younger. It's rare to treat someone but younger than 18 that's not able to make their own decision on doing it. I will definitely be careful on doing that. And the FDA does not approve of using silicone in a breast augmentation in a patient younger than 22.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So if they want to get silicone breast augmentations, they have to wait till they're 22. Now, saline can still look good in a lot of patients, and a lot of younger patients too, but it's rare that someone would get it younger than 18. But I can't rule it out. I would not rule it out.
Since we brought up silicone and saline, which is the preferred implant these days? And I see you brought some models to demonstrate for us.
I have a.
Can I see?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So which is which here?
These are both silicone implants.
These are both silicone. Okay.
They're that's a round, smooth silicone implant.
All right. Looks
And this
nice.
is a textured, form-stable, shaped silicone implant.
And which is better?
So each one is different for different
Nice.
patients, and you have to customize your treatment for every patient. And so when in a consultation and an evaluation, I would determine which would be the most appropriate for them. A saline implant is comes with a silicone shell.
Okay.
They typically just come in the round variety. And the benefits of a saline implant is if there was some leak or loss of integrity to the shell, the saline, which is just salt water, would leak out and your body would absorb it. And you'd see the breast deflate and say, I need to have it treated.
That could be a little traumatic.
It could be. The silicone implants it's a cohesive gel. As you might have heard of the name gummy bear implants.
Oh, I've heard of those. Those are the hot new ones, right?
So gummy bear implants, I remember them using the term gummy bear before the shaped ones came out.
Okay.
So people have called these before because, like gummy bear candy, it's not a liquid goo. But, so it stays there. If there was a loss of integrity, if there was a cut to the shell or lining, the silicone does not leak out like a liquid.
Okay, so let me understand. The previous models of silicone implants used to be very liquefied. So if they were ruptured, the liquefied silicone would disperse.
It can seep along planes underneath the muscle or in the breast tissue and be a lot harder to get out to create a greater problem to remove. These implants, if there's some damage to the shell, then it might just stay there. You might never know that it leaks out. And so that's why the FDA does recommend getting an MRI 3 years after these are put in and every 2 years thereafter.
Okay.
And
because the MRI will show if there's any leakage happening.
It usually will show it. And so it's and that's another expense. This is cosmetic surgery. It's probably not going to be covered by insurance. So that can push patients sometimes towards saline.
How long are these new silicone implants projected to last? Are these?
Yeah, so we don't know because they keep developing them, and we think they're making them better and better. We hope they're going to last long. I can tell you that most implants that were placed between 20 and 25 years ago have some rupture or are at risk of being ruptured.
Okay.
And so we're kind of using that older data to project for these newer implants. And, I tell patients you should expect maybe in 15 years to have these rotated out.
Okay, so
but there are some patients that are able to have these implants longer. I know patients that have saline implants that are 25 years old. So if you are undergoing the surveillance with those MRIs, you don't necessarily need to have them changed. But sometimes if a newer implant becomes available that's safer, for example, I don't like those older silicone implants that have that gooey, more liquefied silicone.
Why? Because you've seen them when they have to get removed?
Because I've had to take them out.
And they're a big mess?
They're a lot more problematic to remove. And I know that they're going to rupture even if they're not. And so I say these are better implants. And if you're healthy enough, I say, let's go ahead and get them out and get you into some new ones. That's my recommendation.
And if saline has almost zero risk because it'll just get absorbed by the body, why then do people prefer the silicone?
Because it looks and feels more natural.
Okay.
So a silicone implant, you see, I don't know if you can see this in the picture, but even the silicone implant has a little bit of rippling. The saline implants tend to have even more rippling,
right.
And they don't hold and have as just quite as nice a shape. If you have a lot of breast tissue that covers the implant, that's usually less of a problem. Then you're just filling up when you already have a lot of breast tissue. But if you don't have a lot of breast tissue, and if most of your breast is going to be implant, then that implant is going to be more visible, and you're going to be more interested in having the silicone implants.
Which I imagine if most women are going to get an implant, it's because they don't have a lot of breast tissue. Therefore,
it completely varies, though.
Oh, yeah, really? Okay.
It does. But you're right. Most women that are endowed don't have cosmetic breast augmentation.
Do patients ever come to you when they've had plastic surgery that they're not happy with? And can you tell me about one of the more extreme fixes you've ever done? Oh, but wait, before you answer that question, let's take a quick commercial break. Listeners, be sure and stay tuned as we have lots more information to share.
Elite Home Health is a CHAP-accredited and Medicare-certified home health care agency that is owned and operated by registered nurses, all with advanced skills and extensive experience in home health care. Our team of caring professionals includes registered nurses, licensed professional nurses, registered physical, speech, and occupational therapists, medical social workers, and certified nursing assistants. Call today, 561-271-9020 for more information. Elite Home Health delivers care to you or your loved one in the familiar comfort of your own home. Medicare pays 100% of the cost with no copayment and no deductible for qualified homebound patients. Elite Home Health Services will develop an individual plan of care to meet your specific needs. Skilled registered nurses and physical therapists will plan and implement your care along with your participation and your doctor's guidance, assuring a plan specific to your needs. We will make multiple visits to your home over weeks or months to make sure that you are recovering according to plan. Visit our website, www.elitehomehealth.com, or call 561-271-9020 and let us treat your loved ones with elite services. Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV. You are listening to Stayin' Alive with Dana Hammill, who has been in the medical community for over 15 years. If you want to call into the show, call 888-565-1470 and ask Dana about anything you want more information on. Now, back to our show.
Welcome back. You are listening to Stayin' Alive Show with Dana Hammill, and we are on WWNN Radio, and tonight we are talking with Dr. Goodwin, plastic and reconstructive surgeon. Again, our number here is 888-565-1470, and we invite you to call and share your stories or ask any questions you might have for Dr. Goodwin. I want to quickly add that this segment of Staying Alive has been brought to you by Tenet Florida Physician Services, and we want to thank them for making this show possible. Dr. Goodwin, you were going to tell us, do patients come to you when they have a problem or something they need to get fixed, or if they've had plastic surgery that went wrong? And can you tell us about one of the more extreme fixes that you did?
So I do a lot of revision, breast reconstruction, and breast cosmetic surgery. And most of the time, it's not from something that some plastic surgeon has done poorly. It's just that things continued to change with time, and the breasts just don't look as good as they did when the surgery was done. However, I have seen a lot of surgery, and I can think of one particular case where a patient had surgery overseas in another country, and they had problems in both the abdomen, where they had a tummy tuck, and in the breast. And
from infection, or what was it?
She had an infection earlier, but that infection had been had gone away, but everything was healed, but everything was deformed, and she needed a few surgeries to get things right. In the end, things looked really good. She was much happier having these surgeries in the United States. I also see a lot of good surgery done in other countries. And so I'm not saying that there's bad surgery and bad medicine in other countries. I'm just saying in this particular case, the patient was unable to get the appropriate care to have a good result because she lived here and went to another country to get the surgery, and then she couldn't get her follow-up with that other surgeon.
Had she have had the follow-up, she probably would have been okay, but she came home in a very maybe short period of time.
Exactly.
And didn't have the proper follow-up.
I mean, she was there in the immediate recovery period, but you can get an infection the healing process, the early period is the most important period, but up to 6 weeks out, an infection could develop.
So in general, if someone is looking, and I'm guessing people go overseas typically to save money, is that correct?
Usually. Now they might have gone over there on a referral from a friend who's gone over there and had a good result also.
Is there any way to check out these foreign doctors in advance, or are you kind of just rolling the dice when you go for them?
They do have some review systems there. In referrals, word of mouth. The main thing that I think is different from other countries is the medical legal system here. There's a lot of extra costs that we have to put into our business that's related to being following certain standards and having certifications, and those are things that are not necessarily happening in other countries. But a lot of these surgeons also belong to our society, also belong to the international society, and they have their own standards as well. So doing those same sort of things as you're vetting here, if you can to those other places, will help.
They say more and more men are having plastic surgery. Have you seen this to be true, and why do you think that is?
Well, there are certain conditions and problems that men have that plastic surgery is great for. Male pattern hair loss.
Okay.
There's been a lot of advances in hair transplants. Male breast reduction or gynecomastia surgery. This is a very common problem. About 14% of men have excess growth of their breasts for normal reasons. It's just a normal variant. You can have it from hormone irregularity.
Steroid use, right?
Steroid use.
Is that, we see these hormones being advertised everywhere. The HGH? Yeah.
Yeah, human growth hormone.
Does that cause increase in breast size for men?
Specifically that one is not related so much to...
Or testosterone?
Testosterone, also not so much related to male breast hormone. But all those hormones that you take, if you have a normal hormone, everything is kind of a feedback mechanism with your hormones. And so if you take one hormone, it can affect your estrogen hormone level. If you take testosterone, it's typically, I don't believe it's going to cause male breast enlargement, but I'm not an expert in that area of the field. But I think I do know the surgical aspects of it. And
is it easy surgery?
I'm not saying it's an easy surgery. I think easy is relative.
Okay.
There's no implant needed, but there is some, it usually combines liposuction and some removal of breast tissue or fat. And sometimes you have to leave a drain. You have to work compression afterwards. Typically about a 2-hour surgery for most patients. It depends on how much, there's
how much tissue.
How bad the gynecomastia is. But I've seen a lot of patients who have started off like they wouldn't take their shirt off. They wouldn't go do sports. And this is something that I have done for younger people because they've developed it in their younger years. And
is it genetic? Like probably the dad might have it, the son might have it.
Possibly.
Like it just kind of
Possibly. It also can be related to obesity. But also if you've had obesity and then you've lost weight, sometimes it stays in the breast. It's unpredictable.
Okay.
But I can tell you that patients will often become a lot more active afterwards because they're more comfortable doing things, taking their shirt off, doing sports, being in locker rooms.
Nice.
And so it's a good surgery for that.
Do you also do fillers, Botox, all that whole thing?
Yeah, and that's been one of the big advances in plastic surgery. A lot more minimally invasive treatments. There's a lot of lasers available for skin tightening and treatment of and the fillers to treat wrinkles on the face and just give a more youthful appearance to the face. And Botox is great for the upper half of the face for kind of decreasing their activity of your muscles.
In Boca, we see a lot of duck lips. What do you say, hot or not?
Not. I try not to do that, but my goal is to reach the patient's goals, and so I can tell you that a little bit of a kind of a scoop on the top of the lip I don't think is bad, but the excessive duck lips typically, I think that's when someone is they're trying to use filler when sometimes there needs to be some removal of skin, and you're trying to avoid scars. And so, patients would always bring up Joan Rivers, passed away recently.
I mean, she looked totally different from, what you saw what she used to look like compared to.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
totally
while she
different.
definitely looked as though she had plastic surgery, she looked pretty good.
She looked pretty good.
She looked
I'll
pretty
give you
good for
that. She
her age.
looked
I
pretty
definitely
good.
think she looked pretty good. She looked
Yeah.
healthy, and so everything's a drawback. And say, I don't want to look plastic. Okay, but do you want to look? And at some point is when it's hard to break away from one of them.
You said sometimes surgery is needed. So are you talking about a lip implant, or what are the other things that can be done?
Well, I mean, and she had these things also,
Okay.
but a reduction in some of the skin around the lip or things around the nose. There are some other techniques that are available to shape the face but that will put scars on the face.
That's when you can cut under the nose, right? And pull the lip up a little bit higher. And that's what they're trying to achieve sometimes through the injection, but sometimes
injection
doesn't.
by giving the fill. Yeah.
Got it.
For example, in the breast, sometimes you can try and avoid having the scars of a lift by putting more volume into the lift and filling up the breast. But ultimately, you're adding more weight to the breast. And so you might eventually end up having a lift.
Having a sock and a rock. I mean, a rock and a sock.
If it comes out badly, yeah.
Okay, everyone is talking about butts these days. Are butts the new boobs?
I think that's a cultural thing. And I do think the butts have always been there. And I think it's just, that's one of the techniques that has been improved in plastic surgery, and it's very popular down here in South Florida.
I mean, ridiculously popular. I actually know someone. And from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, she got fat taken out of her thighs and put right into her derriere.
Right. So
is this what happens?
That's exactly what happens. That's the Brazilian butt lift, which is kind of the name that has been given to this procedure, but it's sculpting the butt. And, the buttock is, sometimes you can lose some of the definition of the buttock with fat around the lower back and the flanks and in the medial thighs, sometimes the lateral thighs. And so taking away that fat will add definition to the butt. And then you can further, exactly. In some patients, that's all they need. They already have that. But the goals, some of this is cultural, some of this is television and media driven, but is for it to be even larger. And so then that fat is concentrated and then try to be injected in small portions in hopes that it gains a new blood supply, transplanted, and will survive as a permanent augmentation to the buttock.
So if you're a skinny girl and you don't have a lot of fat, you're not a candidate?
Exactly.
Is that what? So
you're not a candidate for as much of a result, absolutely. And that is a problem for some patients. You see plastic surgeons saying, you got to eat some more. You need to get some more places I can get some fat.
Can you just gain like 10 pounds before surgery and then have it lipoed out, or does it need to be stabilized fat?
See, that's the thing is once you lose, if they gain the weight and then they go back to their baseline weight, that fat that you transplant is still going to go away.
Those same fat cells will be the same fat cells that would have lost it in another part of your body.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
But it's still easier to get fat when there's more fat available. And so, yes, it's going to go down, but you'll be able to have some result. And so patients often do still like their results if you do that technique.
What do you think is better surgery, a Brazilian butt lift or a butt implant?
I'm not a big fan of the butt implants just because they are notorious for having infections and for malposition of the implant, meaning they're not staying in the right place because you're sitting on it.
You put that pressure on it. I mean, it's not like a breast that just gets left alone for the most part.
Yeah, and it's also in a little bit of an area where can get closer to some things that can infect it. And so I've had to remove those implants, and I'm just not very comfortable with putting in those implants just because I've seen the problems are related with them. And for some patients, that's their only option. But again, it's probably better done by doctors that do more of that.
And does that fall under the category of body contouring?
Yeah. to me, body contouring is anything to improve the shape of the body. And so that could be liposuction, which is with using small incisions, using a cannula to remove the fat. Sometimes we use ultrasound or laser-assisted devices to help in removing the fat. And that's just for treating volume. And then we can put fat in by taking fat from somewhere else and injecting it using these small injection techniques. That's called fat injection or fat grafting, or in the butt, a Brazilian butt lift.
Can you take fat from someone else and put it in to someone else?
So you probably could with various genetic matching programs, and I've heard of people doing it from twins to other twins that are they're genetic identicals, but it technically would be a transplant. And so you're not going to put someone on immunosuppression for for some fat transfer. So yeah, it's not worth it for that. But they're working on new things, and I'm looking for the day I can just pull some fat off the shelf and I can inject it into somebody.
Some nice sterilized fat that's clean, healthy. Well, on that note, we need to take a quick commercial break. Listeners, don't touch that dial. We have lots more to come.
Elite Home Health is a CHAP-accredited and Medicare-certified home health care agency that is owned and operated by registered nurses, all with advanced skills and extensive experience in home health care. Our team of caring professionals includes registered nurses, licensed professional nurses, registered physical, speech, and occupational therapists, medical social workers, and certified nursing assistants. Call today, 561-271-9020 for more information. Elite Home Health delivers care to you or your loved one in the familiar comfort of your own home. Medicare pays 100% of the cost with no copayment and no deductible for qualified homebound patients. Elite Home Health Services will develop an individual plan of care to meet your specific needs. Skilled registered nurses and physical therapists will plan and implement your care along with your participation and your doctor's guidance, assuring a plan specific to your needs. We will make multiple visits to your home over weeks or months to make sure that you are recovering according to plan. Visit our website, www.elitehomehealth.com, or call 561-271-9020 and let us treat your loved ones with elite services. Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV. You are listening to Stayin' Alive with Dana Hammill, who has been in the medical community for over 15 years. If you want to call into the show, call 888-565-1470 and ask Dana about anything you want more information on. Now, back to our show.
Welcome back. You are listening to Stayin' Alive show on WWNN Radio with Dana Hammill. And tonight we are talking to Dr. Goodwin, plastic and reconstructive surgeon. Dr. Goodwin, I understand you can help women that have had mastectomies or need full breast reconstruction. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So patients that have mastectomies, they're going through so much trauma, both emotional and physical. Mm-hmm. They're basically having their breasts amputated. And they deserve to have reconstruction. And not every woman needs reconstruction. I'd say, there are some patients that say, I'm fine with removing them. Every woman has a different relationship with their breasts. But a lot of studies have shown that patients that have reconstruction have some higher quality of life indicators, some better body image of themselves, and they also have sometimes better sexual relationships with their partners afterwards, and so it's been shown to be beneficial. And patients need to know they have a right to have the reconstruction.
And so let me understand. So this is a woman that has either had her breast removed because of cancer or found out she has the gene that is very likely, like I think talked about Angelina Jolie, to get breast cancer. And so they're being proactive about removing the breast tissue.
Right. And so the patients that have the gene, BRCA gene, they may be having it just for safety, having their breast removed. That's called a prophylactic mastectomy.
Wow.
And now they don't have cancer. They are trying to reduce their risk of cancer. So their goal is to try and preserve and have a nice breast and reconstruct their breasts, but they don't have cancer. And that's a tough choice for a woman to make.
It's a hard choice.
Very tough choice.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with you to just be proactive. Wow.
But
does insurance cover that?
Most insurance covers it.
Okay.
But it's still a tough choice for some women to make. Yeah. Luckily, we have a lot of options now in breast reconstruction. A lot newer implants that can give nicer, longer-lasting results. There have been some development of techniques in breast cancer surgery. That's not what I perform. I do the reconstruction, but some of the breast surgeons do nipple-sparing mastectomies. If there's no involvement of the nipple with the cancer, they'll often preserve the nipple. There is some increased risk of cancer recurring in the breast, but usually it's enough for a patient to be comfortable with it.
So walk me through the process. A woman gets all of her skin removed because she wants to make sure that she doesn't develop cancer someday.
It's rare that a patient has all of her skin removed now in a mastectomy. The older mastectomies that were performed had most of the skin removed. But now they do, the standard is a skin-sparing mastectomy, and what's becoming more and more standard is a nipple-sparing mastectomy.
And so do you still use the balloons to stretch the skin, or are those not needed anymore?
Yeah, so tissue expanders is still the most common type of reconstruction, which is a staged reconstruction, starting with placement of a temporary implant called a tissue expander following the mastectomy. It's usually placed underneath the muscle. There are some surgeons who use techniques to go above the muscle. And then that's typically followed by placement of a permanent implant in a second stage after they've completed whatever therapies they've needed for their cancer, like chemotherapy or radiation therapy. But there's also the option of using your own tissue. If you have enough tissue, typically the abdomen, and you're healthy enough and there hasn't been surgery to the belly, you might be able to use your abdomen, use your abdominal tissue to replace instead of using an implant.
Would you be left with a scar if they took tissue from your abdomen?
Yes, you would be left with a scar, but the goal is to try and have as nice a scar as possible, almost like a tummy tuck scar. Oh. And most women that have enough tissue are willing to get rid of that tissue and exchange it for a scar. The key is whether they're willing to go into a bigger surgery. It does increase the risks of surgery because you're not only having surgery on the breast, you're having surgery on the abdomen. It makes it longer, and so there's a little bit more of an involved surgery and process. There are some other areas that patients can have their tissue taken for breast reconstruction: their buttocks, their thighs. Those are very complex and advanced reconstructions, but patients should be aware they're available for them. There are some surgeons that are doing breast reconstruction, doing the fat grafting, like the butt. They're doing completely for the breast.
Wow.
And this is a newer technique that isn't completely accepted by our society yet, so not everybody is doing it. I've seen patients who've had it done with variable. Well, most of the patients that have had it done that come to see me did not have a successful result. Okay. But I've seen lots of results that look amazing, and so it'll be interesting as the technology continues to improve in that arena, how they'll fat grafting is going to continue to be a bigger part of all plastic surgery.
When you said nipple sparing, do they leave the nipple on during that initial surgery, or are the nipples removed and then replaced? Or
no, it's left on.
It's left on the whole time.
And so while I can reconstruct a nipple in most circumstances, it's not going to be as nice as Mother Nature, as your mom, the one you were given. Yeah. And so if we can preserve that nipple, there are some patients that are optimal outcomes where they just look as though they had a breast augmentation after they've had their mastectomy, and that's an ideal outcome.
Wow. And sensitivity, if you have
sensitivity will be decreased, if not gone. So your breasts will never feel like they did before. The goal is so that eventually you get used to them and you are comfortable in your new body.
Which is 99% of it anyway, right? In regards to silicone implants or saline implants, it used to be go big or go home. Is that still the trend, or have women been opting for a more natural look, in your opinion?
So most women come in saying they want to have a natural appearance. Not everybody, but most do. However, they've been thinking about having this breast augmentation for a while.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon. I mean, after you have your breast augmentation, you're going to be swollen. Yeah. And patients will often say, "Hey, I like that." And if they're too big, if they like it, then they're not going to like it when it shrinks. And so I want patients, that trajectory. They've been thinking about going large. They need to be real with themselves about how big they want to be. And so I try to nail that down in the early consultations, and I want them to show pictures of breasts they want to emulate. I want them to use the sizing kit. We also have a device in our Boca Raton office at Sanctuary Plastic Surgery that can simulate for women in 3D how they'll look with
Really?
an augmentation.
This is so cool.
Yeah. So
wait, so tell me about that. So a woman comes into your office and she says, I'm not quite sure. I don't want to look over the top, but I really want to look great in a bikini, which could be anything from a B to a double D in some women's opinion.
Right.
And you don't know exactly what she's talking about, but she can go on to the computer with you and use an image of herself?
Our nurse will take a picture
Okay.
of the patient, and it will have a 3D image of her body.
All right.
And then we can try simulating various implants in that patient to see how they would look. And it is, it's pretty accurate. And so it's a nice adjunct to using a sizing kit and taking pictures, and typically we nail it down. Because my goal is to do surgery once and have you happy with it, But and so what I want the patients to do is after surgery they say it's just a little too big, so that when that swelling goes down, it's just right.
What happens if your patient's aesthetic doesn't match your own and they ask for something that you think is just either not look good on them or that might look okay on them, but you have a feeling that as they mature and grow that they're not going to be happy with it in 5 years, maybe because, somebody might want double Ds now, doesn't mean that they necessarily want that, when they get a little bit older. How do you navigate those waters?
So in my consultation, I need to get the patient's goals. And then I will tell the patient what needs to be done to reach those goals, or if I don't think I can reach those goals, I tell the patient. Or if I do need to reach those goals, it might take a couple surgeries. If the patient doesn't want to change those goals and I don't think I can reach those goals, I will not offer surgery to that patient because I'm not going to try and have an unhappy patient. The whole goal. Now, I can tell you sometimes patients can modify their goals. After they come in for a consultation, they don't know. They haven't done any research and they don't know what's available. And I don't think there's anything that they can say on their initial visit that's inappropriate. But if a patient, if I can't make you happy, I don't want to try to make you happy.
Have you ever turned down someone?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Is that hard to do?
Very.
I can imagine.
Very
I can
hard
imagine
to do.
they look at you with shocked eyes saying, what?
Very hard to do. Yeah.
But sometimes it's necessary, right? If they just want something that's not.
I mean, if I can't reach a patient's expectations, I don't want an unhappy patient. I want all my patients to come out happy. And there's going to be any surgery, there's can be complications. That's enough. I just want to avoid those.
Yeah.
I don't want to avoid and take on a patient that I don't think I'm going to make them happy.
How do you feel about mommy makeovers?
I think they're great. I think what women give to their children, they deserve it. And so, after you're done having babies, and even some you might plan on having babies again, it's uncommon for the breast and the abdomen to not come back to where they were original. And so I think they're a great and there are surgeries that can be done at the same time.
Is it appropriate for women that want to have another child? Or should they wait till they have their second one?
It depends. If they plan on having another child shortly, I would say no. I would wait until after. But if it's going to be 5 or 7 years, as long as you understand that things could
change again,
torn up again. But, it's your life. It's your young life. And 5 years is a considerable part of your life. If you're not happy how you look and you're willing to go through the surgery, then so be it. And a lot of times after the second child, they might still look good afterwards.
How long should a woman wait after having a baby before she even considers doing a mommy makeover?
I'd wait at least 3 months after completing breastfeeding. Allow the breast tissue to settle down because the volumes of the breast yeah, I'd wait at least 3 months after having finishing breastfeeding. If they don't breastfeed, I would wait at least 6 months, preferably 9 months after completing after having the baby.
Listeners, if there is anything that has been bothering you about your physical appearance and you want to work with the best, I encourage you to call Dr. Goodwin and set up a complimentary consultation. Dr. Goodwin, it has been a pleasure speaking with you tonight. Thank you for coming on the show, and please visit us again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Elite Home Health is a CHAP-accredited and Medicare-certified home health care agency that is owned and operated by registered nurses, all with advanced skills and extensive experience in home health care. Our team of caring professionals includes registered nurses, licensed professional nurses, registered physical, speech, and occupational therapists, medical social workers, and certified nursing assistants. Call today, 561-271-9020 for more information. Elite Home Health delivers care to you or your loved one in the familiar comfort of your own home. Medicare pays 100% of the cost with no copayment and no deductible for qualified homebound patients. Elite Home Health Services will develop an individual plan of care to meet your specific needs. Skilled registered nurses and physical therapists will plan and implement your care along with your participation and your doctor's guidance, assuring a plan specific to your needs. We will make multiple visits to your home over weeks or months to make sure that you are recovering according to plan. Visit our website, www.elitehomehealth.com, or call 561-271-9020 and let us treat your loved ones with elite services. Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV. You are listening to Stayin' Alive with Dana Hammill, who has been in the medical community for over 15 years. If you want to call into the show, call 888-565-1470 and ask Dana about anything you want more information on. Now, back to our show.
Listeners, we have Denise Jordan with us from American Parkinson's Disease Association to tell us about an exciting event that is coming up. Denise, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. So our program in April 17th, is actually part of the National Parkinson's Awareness Month. And what really happens is that we try to build awareness through this event. So on April 17th, 2016, at the town of Boca, we're actually going to have our annual Optism Walk.
How did you become involved with Parkinson's?
Actually, I actually started down here. I actually am a transient from New York City. I actually work with the United States Tennis Association. And then when I relocated down here in Florida, I became part of the March of Dimes for them down here in Fort Lauderdale. And then there was a call that basically I took, and it was actually very challenging in terms of what we wanted to do in terms of building the awareness for Parkinson's. So that's how I got involved. So I don't have any personal impact, but it was something that I really felt that I could make a difference in, and that was important to me in terms of my career and what I could do in the community.
What's the financial goal to raise this year?
$70,000.
$70,000. Do you feel like that's a reasonable goal? Do you guys expect to hit it?
We sure hope so. I always look at it from this standpoint is that if you got to raise it high, as opposed to starting low. I mean, if you have low expectations, you have low expectations. But if you have high expectations, it allows us to really kind of, work towards that.
How many people do you expect to join in the walk?
I hope about 200.
Oh, wow. That'll be a nice turnout.
Yes.
How will the funds be used?
The funds are actually used through our support system. So we actually provide information and referral systems. We have support groups for both those with Parkinson's disease as well as the caregivers. So it's really important that we really kind of drill down into the community. And then the last part of that component is actually through medical research. We've given about $84 million through our national office.
Wow. So this is a national group. I mean, throughout
yes, it
the
is.
US.
That's right. So our national office is actually in Staten Island, New York.
Does every state have a branch?
Yes, pretty much so.
Is the hope that there's going to be a cure for Parkinson's? Is that even a reasonable hope? Or is it more that we just need to be able to treat the symptoms that we see? What's the expectation?
It's our hope that we are actually going to be able to nip this in the bud once and for all. There's a lot of clinical trials that are going on at this particular point in time. And I think it's astounding in terms of, Alzheimer's has really gotten, on the forefront.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that Parkinson's is the same because there's actually 1.5 million people who have Parkinson's disease, 30,000 here in South Florida.
Wow.
Every 9 minutes, someone is newly diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And it's growing. By 2020, they expect that to double. That's frightening. That's staggering.
That is staggering. Is Parkinson's a genetic disease?
It can be, and that's why it makes it very difficult. There's some that have some familial in terms of, genetics, but most of the time it is not. And it's caused by very different circumstances. There are people who have been, whether they've been on farms, whether they've been engineers. It could be a whole host of reasons why someone gets Parkinson's.
Is there anything new that you've kind of been hearing about for treatments or for, what the next step is in Parkinson's?
Well, they're actually working on some different medicines. Of course, there's a DAT imaging that's going on. There's deep brain stimulation that's going on right now, and it's been very successful. But of course, there has to be certain protocols in which someone, gets into that program and whether that works or not.
For someone who themselves or has a family member that's been diagnosed with Parkinson's, what's the best way to get in touch with your group, and what can your group do for someone like that?
Sure. So for us, if you call APDA, which is our 800 number, 825-2732 number, we will then direct you. We'll talk to you in terms of, whether you've been to a neurologist, there's a movement disorder specialist. And then we'll put you into some kind of support system. Education is key as well as exercising. So therefore, there are programs that we have that we will be able to put you into. And that's really key, because of the, I would say, for the most part, is the difficulty of Parkinson's disease. So it's really important for someone to really become adverse in terms of education, etc.
Does Parkinson's affect the brain, or is it just a body disorders?
Well, it's interesting because it's the lack of dopamine in the brain cells that really cause, the kinds of movement disorders. So there's, all kinds of gait problems. Someone could be involved with sleeplessness. There's just a host of, tremors in which you might see, with someone will shuffle, someone will have some kind of freezing in terms of their gait, their balance, etc.
About what age does Parkinson's usually come on?
Currently, it's about 65 years of age. However, there are circumstances like Michael J. Fox, they brought it on at,
so young,
latter part of 39.
And I've been meeting people in their 40s that have been diagnosed with it, and it is heartbreaking.
It is. It is.
Have we seen that if someone is diagnosed young, that the symptoms go a little bit slower with them, or not really?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, what happens is because they're not in that stage of like stage one, so they're still able to produce and still work, etc. But then as they get older, of course, then it progresses.
And it sounds like what you're saying is that they found that if they are regularly exercising and maybe using physical therapy techniques, they can slow down some of the...
That's right, or at least help to maintain it to a degree.
So the main thing is is to get diagnosed early, one.
Yes.
And then if there is a diagnosis, treatments can really help to slow down the process.
That's correct.
Not just ignore it and pretend like this isn't happening.
That's right. But oftentimes, because of its complexities, you'll have people have dementia, and because of that, it kind of skews it in a way where Parkinson's might not be picked up right away. So oftentimes what will happen is they'll pass the stage 1 and 2 not knowing, and then they're at stage 3 and 4, which then becomes very degenerative.
Denise, if someone wants to become part of the walk and wants to help this group and wants to give, where should they go and what should they do?
Sure. So on our website is apdaflorida.org, and then go to the event page. And then if you want to call us, it's at 1-800-825-2732.
Well, thank you for being here with us tonight. We appreciate it. Listeners, please come and support this group. We're all going to be out walking. We'd love for you to come and join us. And we already seem to be at the end of our show. I want to thank plastic surgeon Dr. Goodwin and Denise Jordan from American Parkinson's Disease Association for joining us tonight. Remember to join us every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. on WWNN 1470 AM to stay abreast of the latest happenings with what's happening in medicine. Or visit us on websites amp2.tv or wwnnradio.com to view the show in its entirety. This is Dana Hammill, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening and watching Stayin' Alive with Dana Hammill. Please join us next week when Dana brings another professional in the medical community who will tell us what they are currently working on to improve your quality of life. Follow Dana on Facebook at Stayin' Alive with Dana Hammill, or visit her website, www.stayinalivewithdanahammill.tv. See you next week, and may you stay healthy.